Okay, welcome in.
It's good to be back.
We are back. We are back. We are here having a conversation about insight number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Insight number 6 is own your leadership formation. There are some pretty important words in the title. And so part of today will be unpacking what all of those words mean and why they're important in this moment in time. Maybe I'd love to start us off, Ayana, by having you do some storytelling around ready for it?
I'm
What
ready.
we mean by own your own formation.
Yeah, I love it. This is actually an insight I've been looking forward to. Number 6, the
Mm-hmm.
final in the series. This for me is a culmination of so much of what we've already spoken about. Owning your formation is the leverage point of exercising your agency and your autonomy to become the leader that you desire to become. This is not something to be outsourced. This is not someone else's work. This is my work, this is your work. Each of us have to take, here's another A, accountability for the way that we design the conditions for the leaders we want to become and how we step into that. So I'm really excited about this because it is about empowerment. It's about saying who you are and who you are becoming and putting the right kind of levers in place to make that happen. Own your formation, own your leadership formation.
Mm-hmm. 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 What are we seeing?
Oh, I was going to ask you
Around,
that question. You've been noticing some
great.
really good trends.
Mm-hmm.
We've been paying attention to organizations where they're investing, where they're not investing these
Mm-hmm.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My Instagram and LinkedIn research
Lay it on us.
would point to maybe some broader trends around decreasing,
Mm-hmm.
all the way from decreasing to divesting, investment in individualized learning and development, and therefore leadership development. I think I saw headlines over the last couple of weeks around large enterprise making substantial cuts around individualized learning and development budgets, and specifically making cuts around leadership development budgets. And my heart sank at first,
Yeah.
saying like, gosh, in volatile markets, we know that development is one of those first things to go. And yet so much research points to the fact that, in those moments you should be investing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a heart sink moment. And then I actually thought, like, you know what? Perhaps this is more helpful.
Yeah.
Perhaps this is actually something that we need to be zooming out on and thinking about it through the lens of a broader shift in a workplace employer relationship, or in how we should set expectations around who owns
Mm-hmm.
one's own formation, one's own development. And so after my heart sank, I actually got kind of opportunistic about it. And knowing we were going to talk about this in our final insight, to say, like, gosh, folks, this is an opportunity.
Mm.
You no longer need to put your development strategy, your own perspectives on what's coming next for you in the hands of your employer. Gosh, like, take accountability for that and build your own sense of development plan, build your own formation plan, because it's your career. When you reclaim your leadership, you get to reclaim your own strategy and your own
Mm-hmm.
budget around how you want to develop yourself. So anyways, from trend to potential opportunity.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And it links so nicely to our earlier conversations about leadership being a profession. There's a
Mm,
professional standing up of self when you think of being a leader as a profession that you do take accountability for. And I would add to what you're saying, Megan, not only the career of it, but because we think about development as one way of thinking about development as, the stacking of competencies,
mm,
the layering of competencies. But we
mhm,
actually know that to be a future ready leader requires formation because there's inward work, character, inward work that's required, as well as the adaptiveness of how you use those skills in varieties of contexts. We call that disciplines and dynamics. It's things like sense making and future seeing, foresight around the corner. It's also about the sophistication of stakeholder engagement and influencing and nuancing and knowing how to use strategic comms in a way that is relevant for today. So it's not just the skills, but the whole and of your totality of self, inward,
Mm-hmm.
outward, and then how you apply that in a thoughtful
Mm-hmm.
way moving
Mm-hmm.
forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I love how it's coming full circle because that speaks to a professional wrapping that you do want to steward thoughtfully and intentionally in participation with the places where you choose to exercise your leadership. Set
Mm-hmm.
organization, business, team, community, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it lights me up because it's the heart of our understanding of what makes for great executive leadership and future ready leadership, and what we see as required to be a leader in the kind of world that we are in. Again, full circle. We've spoken about the Bainey world, brittle, anxious culture, nonlinear, incomprehensible, and so it requires more than just a stacking of skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, formation is required.
Mm-hmm. I also think that it requires a broader sense of imagination, of dreaming,
Mm-hmm.
of possibility
Mm-hmm.
around the profession and the career of leadership that I want to
Mm-hmm.
have. And to your point, I'm just saying what you said differently around, I may choose a particular career path for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I recognize that I can be a leader
Mm-hmm.
in my community work, in my family work, in my corner office work, in
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And if you hold the aperture
Mm-hmm.
wider and recognize that leadership is expressed across all those places, then your development
Mm-hmm.
also comes from a wider, more imaginative place.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And just to be explicit, like we're talking about, classic models of 70-20-10
Mm,
development.
sure.
So we're talking about formal education. We're talking about exposure. We're talking about putting yourselves in places that may be uncomfortable because what you're actually being attuned to is, like we've said, the kind of leader that you want to be, but also the quality of leadership
Mhm,
that is required. So putting yourself in the presence of others, with others who are doing it in a way that you really want to exemplify is part of exercising ownership, part of exercising agency, part of
mhm,
being intentional and deliberate about who you're modeling, who
mhm,
you are mimicking, who you are learning from by osmosis, right? Being
mhm,
around, being
mhm,
exposed to. So it doesn't have to be what's the next course. We all want you to take the STRAAD Institute because that's required. Future Ready Performance STRAAD Institute, absolutely. But it's not exclusive. It's that and. And so we can exercise our agency in micro activities and micro choices that we make along the way.
mhm, mhm,
Mm-hmm.
mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
Ayana, this is, I feel like it was a bit of buzzword bingo.
Okay.
So
I'm ready
I
with my
wonder,
data.
yeah, exactly. I think we should offer some definitions, some discussion around some of the language we're using
Yeah,
because it
let's do it.
it potentially is new or fresh in this space. We hope it's fresh. We hope it's inspiring for those
Mm-hmm.
that are coming along on this journey with us. Okay, so let me maybe facilitate you for a second here.
Okay.
What do we mean by formation?
Yeah. Formation is a process.
Hmm.
Formation, like leadership, is a social process.
Hmm.
Formation, like leadership, has direction, meaning over time it is additive. It has a vertical axis as well, which is there are levels of depth as to how curious you are about yourself, others, the content, the learning. Formation is deeply an integrative process that moves a leader, individual, from a current state to their next state. It is never ending. Formation and reforming, knowing what to leave behind and what to take forward, is part of how we evolve in our next articulation, next expression, next doing and being of our leadership identity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a shortcut into remembering that leadership is not a title, it's not just a role. It's a shortcut into the integrated enterprise social process of how we bring our humanity and all of our intelligences, all of ourself with others into the work of being and becoming for the sake of, the thing we're after, the impact we're trying to make. It's why we lead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you know this is so critical and important? Where are you drawing from?
Hmm. I think we draw collectively from the field of watching humans at work.
Sure.
I'm just repeating myself from other podcasts or, conversations we've had, like how strange it is that we are here, humans.
I was like
And when you,
on this video doing the
well,
things. I mean, it's
strange
strange.
that, yeah, it is. But strange
Yeah.
that we are here having this experience, because when you observe us anthropologically, ethnographically, culturally, through lenses of language, through relationship dynamics, through our own sense of power, relationships, what feeds us, what we need, what's required, and what is optional. I mean, we are deeply complex, and to think that we can move communities, move teams, move organizations at just one level of understanding, say a skill level. You got to learn a skill. You got to learn to do a thing. Misses the beauty and the complexity of the multiple layers that actually make up who we are individually and collectively. So we are in the business of unlocking potential, activating humans. And so because of that, the richness is in paying attention to all that my hands are doing, the 360 all the way around. Yeah, up and down, vertical and horizontal. Yeah. And so again, we may know this intrinsically. We may mean this when we say the word development, but we, in our 10 years in field work, see people operating differently. So formation for us is, again, the shortcut, the signal, the ding, 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 that reminds us to take a really integrative view. And we know this because this is what it is to be human. And our humanity and our leadership need to be more interconnected and deconstruct the myth that somehow they are separate.
Are we talking about whole human development?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I marvel at you, Megan. You are a mother of two. And when we check in and like our human, hey, how's life going? I hear you raising humans
Or
young
trying.
people, trying, doing your best. And the one could hear those conversations and put the lens of leadership on it and know that you are developing your two humans of the next generation to how to lead self, how to lead with others. And the fundamentals are there that make it work. Kindness, respect, mutuality, nuances of what's happening on the playground. The same things are happening in the boardroom. We know this, right? Yeah, we are talking about whole formation, whole development, and reminding ourselves of how again complex and integrated that is. Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Mhm.
I thought you were going to ask me to define some words. So there are three words that we talk a lot about. What is learning? What is application? What is integration?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think in the work we see, and this is, I mean, these are not absolute by any means definitions, but they're probably like operating mental models that help us um, connect with leaders and help them translate where they continue to evolve in their formation, their future ready formation. And so if learning as part of the formation process really emphasizes the content, what are you filling the process with? The context, the content, the what. Um, Application has to do with the experimental role that trying something on plays in a formation process. How do you prototype? How do you learn to speak and to try on words? Fail fast. All of those kind of frameworks in development and formation come into play there. So we're trying it on in a place, trying it on a context. We're observing what has worked, what has failed, what do we bring forward, etc. And then I think for us, as we see it in executives and future ready leaders, integration has to do with the from application to how does it become a way of actually showing up at the table. So when there's a seamlessness between what you now know in your head, what you've tried on, and now it's become a part of you. Oftentimes the space between application and integration is the intentionality around habit making.
Mhm. Mhm.
We practice. The more and more we practice, the more and more we're able to integrate. I've
Mhm.
recently went on Facebook Marketplace and got myself a piano again after many,
Nice.
many years. And man, just the fingers seem to remember what to do. And it's because of the many years that got me to grade 8 conservatory that there's a level of integration. There's a level of
Mhm.
integration, right? And that has come through practice and habit making. Habit making. So integration is one of those, I think, delightful words that speaks to a place where it feels without friction, seamless,
Mhm.
a part
Mhm.
of.
Mhm.
And then it gets recognized as authenticity
Mhm.
when it is a part of you
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
show up as an authentic leader.
Mhm. Mhm.
Love
Mhm.
your reaction though. I mean, aligned, different, Bills?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the space between application and integration can take some time,
Oh, yeah.
right? It's not overnight, and particularly I think for places of stretch, your point on habit making,
Hmm.
like if you're having to challenge a particular mental model or something that has shaped you to date and you're needing to
Hmm.
rewire in a certain way or
Hmm.
remove a bias or go deep on, gosh, it's worked for me up to this point and
Yeah.
like, oh, I really got to change that. Like that is bigger, harder work.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I do application on Monday and integration on Tuesday and like I got it, right? It
Yeah.
can be a longer path, particularly when you're um, getting after the deeper, harder work. Like
Yeah.
if I just think about my own leadership journey and um, those spaces of application integration,
Hmm.
for me that there's been months, there's been, a year you've
Hmm.
watched, right? Where,
Yeah.
my own mental models have really shifted. And potentially I'm showing up today differently than I did 18 months ago, than I did 3 years ago. But that's been my own journey of integration.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's super smart. I mean, it tactically it's rewiring, right? It's building new synaptic connections. And you make an excellent point, but it's not only making new habits, it's also about the process of unlearning habits that have been less helpful. And what do we
Mhm.
replace those with on purpose, with
Mhm.
intentionality around that?
Mhm.
Which,
Yeah.
and every time I say on purpose intentionality, we're back to the theme of the day. You own that is a choosing of I will put in the sweat equity, I will put in the work, I will keep applying that which I do want to become. Keep practicing. And it is difficult at times, certainly, and requires, all the smart professors have used the words of grit and resilience. Otto Scharmer talks about will. And, you and I talk about like heart and being connected to why it's important to become that kind of human, that kind of leader. You got to stay so connected to that to keep invested. Yeah.
You opened with some A's: agency, autonomy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just also for the sake of hopefully inspiring, expanding, mental models around all of that. What do we mean by those A's?
What do I mean by those A's?
They're sort of our favorites. We have lots of A's.
They are our favorites. When you're doing the kind of work that we get to do, storytelling is such a big part of it. And so one of our favorite stories, of course, is the story of origin around the namesake STRAAD. And even our logo, right? So STRAAD, a play on words, strategy and leadership. And there is this unfinished space in between, which is why the A's of STRAAD are unfinished in their lines. So there is emergence, there is possibility, there is future orientation, and there's ownership of what you want to design for that space in between. It's also lovely that STRAAD has two A's that are unfinished, so all the A words are really helpful. So some of our favorites when it comes to owning your formation, key things to think about include A for agency, the ability to act, the ability to act, and to remember that one always has choice as to how one does that. Another great A is the A of authority. This is a little nuanced. To whom and to what do we give our authority? What do we authorize? Do we authorize someone else to tell us the kind of leader we must be? What do we authorize? Do we authorize what's on TikTok? Do we authorize how what our parents say is the right thing? Do we authorize what our pastor says? Do we authorize what our last leader says and not what this leader says? Do we authorize what of our own conviction do we authorize? So to whom and to what do we authorize? Another A that's interesting is the A of autonomy. Yeah. So how much roominess is there for us to exercise our agency? What are the containers we've built for ourselves with care for others, and the context we want to impact? How much roominess have we created for that? The last few I'll just like rattle off. I think there's an A of accountability, which is really important. These days, we're talking a lot about the A of authenticity. And that I think is because we understand that because formation and leadership is journey work, the authenticity shows up in the clarity of what you are bringing forward each time. There is an evolutionary notion to authenticity. Other poetic A's are A's of attention. We've talked about that a lot. You become what you pay attention to in a thoughtful way. The A of attunement. What signals are you really focusing in on that inspire, that illuminate, that help clarify, that help deepen? In thoughtful ways. So we can go on and on and on. A for application is really important as well. Go on and on. And then maybe on another conversation, we'll go to B, C's, and D's and play with it. But just to say, it just speaks to the power and the importance of acknowledging that it takes so much, and this is why we've made a career out of this, so much into understanding, expounding upon, and living into a life of leadership. We could all of these facets are a part of it, the profession, the art and science of it. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Okay. We get to do good work. I feel very fortunate. Well, let me ask you a question just by way of close. Is that okay?
Sure.
Is that okay? Yeah. Let me ask you.
I can answer.
Of course you can. This is the A of around the corner. Is the A of
Oh,
around the
okay.
corner. Yeah. When it comes to owning one's formation, one's leadership formation, you and I have made a few strategic bets on what that requires. And we see that in our STRAAD Institute.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to name out loud, Megan Lou, about what it's going to take around the corner um, to keep investing in one's formation? What's that going to take around the corner?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll start us off, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's where I opened,
Mm-hmm.
is I think it is going to take our our young people, people in their career now, people at stages of wanting to, give back in different ways. I think it's going to take a reclaiming and an accountability and a delight in what we're trying to say. How might you reclaim what it is to truly shape the kind of life and the kind of leader you want to be? I think it's not necessarily around the corner anymore, but we're in a phase in the world right now where few corporations hold a lot of power and control. And I think it's really important for individuals to exercise their own sense of agency for the kind of leader, the kind of impact they want to be
Mm-hmm.
through the lens of ensuring balance and not giving all of the power to a
Mm-hmm.
few. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really important for us as citizens, for us stewarding common good, for us being on uh, protecting generations to come. I think we all need to be accountable for our own sense of leadership formation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the other thing that is really important is to know that leadership formation can be in a variety of ways, as you said. Yes, we have started the STRAAD Institute because we could no longer say no to
Yeah.
clients asking for this kind of work, asking for deeper, asking for broader, asking for ways to turn on, activate. We love
Mm-hmm.
our A's, activate their leaders in ways that help them get curious, get comfortable, get brave, get strategic about the big problems. So, the second thing I'd really love people to know is that interesting experiences, deep experiences, experiences that are integrative are out there. Google the STRAAD Institute, and there's
Mm-hmm.
others. But to put yourself in those places and not wait for someone else to do it for you, someone else to pay for it on your behalf. How do you really start to take accountability for finding and putting yourself in those deeper integrated spaces? Um, the other piece that I would say that's around the corner is lots of folks are using and will continue to use agentic tools to help, call it back to one of your definitions, learn, acquire knowledge and skills. I mean, it's getting just infinitely easier to be able to consume. But
Mm-hmm.
the world of application to integration, I think that is a place where we would really want everyone to be reminded that it's deeply human with yourself and with others. And as much as you may be building your own AI board of directors, that awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
around the corner is a remembering that this world is a better place when we learn to be with each other, to discuss, to pull apart, to get feedback on, apply, and to reach for ways in which we can leave this planet in a better place than we started. And that is done with humans.
Yeah. 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 Fantastic. You're doubling down on the social process aspect of this, which is really critical. My only add that I see around the corner is that one of the generative outcomes of owning formation that will be more and more valued, and pick your value meter, valued. I think is that formation, a mindset of formation, as we've spoken about today, is a critical input into leaders being able to mature into wisdom leaders. And next to the plethora of new realities in which we find ourselves, technologically informed, geopolitically informed, economically informed, national borders informed, we are going to need to be the kind of convergent sense makers that can straddle, that can discern, pull out, and pour into the wisdom required for the kind of world that you're talking about. So that's what I see around the corner, that the formation piece is the next horizon, but it's not the final horizon. The why of that is critically connected to the need we will have for wise leaders. And the value of wisdom is going to be felt and sensed more readily. It's a hunch I have. Now it's on the internet. We can go back in 5 to 10 years and see how much we're seeing around the corner. But I think the signals are pointing to that. Yeah. Well, another conversation. We go deep. We don't play around. We say all the things. For those who are interested, just to say it out loud, we at STRAAD, Megan and I are leading this fantastic organization who are reading signals around the corner and trying to connect with, and we do get to connect with, fabulous executives and leadership teams across industries and sectors. We have started the STRAAD Institute. And within that are a series of experiences that enable some of the critical things we've spoken of today: community building, social process, incubators for learning, application, and integration. And we would invite you to check that out. Over the next few months, we'll be releasing some dates for our fall cohorts in various cities across Canada and the US. And so we hope you'll check that out and reach out to us for conversation and interest along the way. Thanks for being part of our Insight series. This closes our 6 insights on future-ready leadership for the time being, and we'll be back with more conversation, more podcasts, more things to talk about as STRAAD continues to live in the space in between strategy and leadership. Bye all.